Even now, images like this are hard for Serenity's mother to look at. Several years after the little girl's death, her mother says she's still looking for answers and for justice.
For the first few months, it was really good. She was a happy, healthy baby.
Court documents obtained by CBC paint a picture of the young Indigenous girl's experience moving through the province's child welfare system, revealing new details about her life and the investigations that followed her death. Serenity was taken into foster care at 6 months old after her mother filed a report with police alleging she'd been assaulted by her child's father. Serenity's family members can't be named to protect the identity of her surviving siblings.
Where's your nose? Where's your eyes?
In the years she spent with her foster family, records show Serenity was thriving, learning to walk, then run, learning to talk, and loving to sing and dance. But then suddenly, the family was notified Serenity would be moving to a new home in less than a week. According to emails filed in court, her foster mother tried to appeal the decision. Serenity and her older brother and sister were moved to their great aunt and uncle's house. The children were put in kinship care, an alternative to foster care, which is a government-approved placement for children receiving intervention services. Guardians are typically members of extended family or people in the community with whom they share a close connection. At first, Serenity's mother says she saw the placement as a good thing, a route to eventually getting her kids back rather than having them adopted.
Things seemed fine for like the first 3 months, and then they started just losing weight and having bruises all the time, and it was not right. So I told child welfare that I didn't think something was right there.
When she felt she wasn't getting anywhere, she even tried asking her provincial MLA for help. Records show a formal investigation was undertaken, but the allegations were deemed unfounded. The Guardians were ordered to keep following up with a doctor about Serenity's weight. The last time Serenity's mother saw her 3 children together before Serenity was injured was a Halloween visit in 2013.
I live with a lot of regret seeing the pictures I have from that day, knowing that they were so sad, and I didn't, I thought maybe telling child welfare was the right thing or they would do something about it, but, maybe I should have went to the police sooner or something. Because when I see Serenity's face from that last time I seen her, she just did not look happy at all. She was very sad.
The aunt and uncle were awarded private guardianship, and the province closed its files on the 3 children. And then, almost a year later, in September 2014, Serenity's mother got a phone call from a relative who said she'd heard Serenity was in a coma.
I could feel it, and I already knew that it was real. I knew that it was happening. I didn't have ID at the time, so I couldn't just jump on a plane. I had to drive 16, 17-hour drive before I could get to that hospital.
Police reports filed with the courts show multiple witnesses say Serenity fell from a tire swing. While no official source of her head trauma has ever been determined, medical staff were alarmed by Serenity's overall condition. A pediatrician's report describes her as extraordinarily emaciated and covered in bruises. A judge granted custody of Serenity to her mother, so she could make the decision to remove her child from life support.
Well, September 27th, 2014, I can honestly say that is one of the most saddest days of my life ever.
Police launched an investigation. Records show Serenity's older siblings alleged their sister had been physically abused while living in the kinship care home. But then for years, nothing happened. Police were waiting on the medical examiner's autopsy report, but that wasn't finalized until September 2016. Records show investigators were also having a hard time obtaining Serenity's child welfare file. Sick of waiting, her mother decided to go public with her daughter's story.
Legally, we can't identify Serenity's mother, but she joins us on the line now.
It just makes me feel like they don't care about the children here in Alberta.
It created a firestorm in the media and the public.
We do recognize that we have failed many children, many Serenities.
A new government ministry was created to deal specifically with children's services, and a panel made a series of recommendations to try to prevent more deaths like Serenity's. The aunt and uncle were charged with one count of failing to provide the necessaries of life, but it was stayed in August 2019. Prosecutors said there wasn't a reasonable likelihood of conviction.
Can't get jobs anywhere because of our last name.
In an interview last year, the aunt and uncle denied any abuse took place and said they were made scapegoats in the case. In a recent statement, the aunt said they would have never taken the children in if they'd known about their high needs. She also wrote that the province's child welfare system misled and coerced them, and that they wanted to help Serenity and her siblings because of the racism that Indigenous people face. After 5 years of waiting, it was a devastating blow to Serenity's mother.
I had to pull over and basically sit there and scream and cry on the side of the road. And, I couldn't believe it. They said it at the preliminary that there was enough, and then all of a sudden, there isn't.
Serenity was one of 33 children and youth who'd had involvement with intervention services to die that year. The total fatalities fell the next year, but it has climbed back up. Like Serenity, Indigenous children and youth account for more than half the deaths in care each year. The 1-year window for prosecutors to reactivate the criminal charge will close in August. When that happens, the province can schedule a fatality inquiry, which can examine the circumstances of Serenity's death and make recommendations, but can't find fault. Serenity's mother, her fiancé, and children have made a new life for themselves in a different province. But she's not willing to give up on seeking accountability for what happened to her daughter in Alberta.
I still have hope, and something in my heart just tells me to just not stop fighting for the justice that she deserves and her siblings deserve.
It's still painful to talk about what happened, but she says she will always keep Serenity and her memories of her close.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Paige Parsons, CBC News, Edmonton.